Hello to everybody, and I'm here, and I'm well, and everything is all right so far, and I hope you are well, and carrying on your usual routine activities as much as you can under this lockdown or semi-lockdown or half lockdown, all these different levels of lockdown. So here in India, it is also, they're slowly lifting things, although they're divided into different zones, saying red zone, yellow zone and green zone, but they also have overall some kind of policy. And one thing which I don't understand very well is they allowed all the alcohol shops to open. And there are long, long queues. And there's no social distancing. There is, but just before in front of the shop's door, where the police are standing, others just queues going round and round and round, but no distance. They can't keep it because they want to get there as soon as possible to hold one or two bottles, whatever. So it is quite sad. After what we went to 3 days ago, we have a discussion about, the consumption of intoxicants. And then yesterday evening and to this morning, when I read those news, and it was quite something. Anyway, that's life, that's reality. And that's it, really. Apart from that, there isn't that much I had to, to tell you about what's happening here with regard to this virus. I'm reading lots of informations, all the what you call the vaccines are developing and so on and so forth. Anyway, now today we are going to end this text, and I will not spend that much time reading the essence of a human life, the words of advice for the lay practitioner that I started read some time ago, and so only more or less the last verse is left. The verse before that is I briefly touched on, verse 11 and 12, said that these two verses are the summary of the previous verses that Tsongkhapa, had explained how to bring meanings or how to take essence with this human existence that we have, and particularly, focus on his advice. This advice is focused on to the lay practitioners, so once again, just briefly, remind ourselves some of the main points that he, raised in this short text is really saying to understand the human existence that we have, though it's not perfect, but it has tremendous potential, something very meaningful, very beneficial things that we can do based on this human existence. Then he moved on to talk about the general nature of impermanence, and then particularly the relation to this human existence that we have. Though it is very precious, very great potential it has, but it will not going to last forever. It is very fragile, and that is one part of and these two usually go together. Usually go together. Understanding, recognizing, realizing the human potential, human existence, its potential, its what you call the capability, and all this realizing, recognizing, understanding, and at the same time understanding it is impermanent, it can be lost at any moment by anything and wherever you are. So these two understandings usually go hand in hand, which is very useful. In fact, Tsongkhapa is, another very important text. Many of you have read and know this. Three principal aspects of the path to enlightenment. In there. Tenjornia tsela longmebe, ila kombe tsedi nangshendo. So this Tenjornia tsela longmeba. Two meanings, 2 points. Then he make the conclusion. What it contemplating in those 2 points. What sort of things to be cultivated within ourselves? What kind of understanding or realizations that we will grow? And Teljornyaka, that means Teljor, literally it means leisure and opportunity, the human life that we have. In other words, potential and capability, that life that we have. Nyeka, that kind of precious life, that kind of great potential life will not obtain again and again. Not easy to be obtained, or not easy to be, to be born. Nyeka, tsela longmeba, and that lifespan that we have, that human existence that we have, won't last that long. Long meba doesn't have that much time to do all the things that we want to do. Going to what you call that park in Paris, famous park. Anyway, the children will go, and also in somewhere other. Tejonia got tsela long meba. So then the next line, ila kombe. Yila Gombe means really reflecting, meditating, on that. Yi means in our mind. In our mind, thinking. Our minds thinking, reflecting, contemplating on that 2 points again and again. Yila Gombe. Tsedi Nangshendo. So that will really help us to reduce the grasping on those things and events which do not have that much meaning. Nawada Shemba Nangshen Tsedi means this life that we have, all this, the carrying out very melodically, very gently, and doing all sorts of things. We do those things because we have grasping on those things, events. And that grasping leads us to do those meaningless, or have a meaning but short-term meaning. So that grasping, appearance and grasping on this life, those meaningless activity, those grasping will be reduced. Seti Namshento. And that's very important one. Like conclusion, what should, after I meditated on precious human life, after I meditated on, that precious human life will not last long, it is permanent. What kind of conclusion that should be there after meditating years and years on these 2 points? And that is the conclusion. That should be there within ourselves. What should be there? Have less grasping, less holding on this life's meaningless affairs. And that is what here in 3 principal aspects. So then this text goes down to talk about our actions. In other words, karma. Our actions of the body, speech, and mind, have results, consequences, and so on and so forth. And these consequences are, inevitable, cannot be avoided, cannot be, and the consequences follow according to the causes. That means our actions. If actions are constructive, positive, useful, helpful, consequences are also concord with those actions. And if actions are not helpful, destructive, unpleasant, harmful to oneself and others, the consequences of those actions are also pain, difficult, confusion, all sorts of things, mentally and physically. So reflecting on that, and in the 3 principal aspects of the path, again, says that the same verse, the first 2 verses which I just mentioned, Lende milu kowe dungenam, yang samne chime nang shendo. Lende milu, that's the cause and effect, a law of cause and effect, or in karma, the law of cause and effect that I do, the actions that I do, and the consequences that follow cannot be sort of cheated, cannot be avoided, cannot be, bribed not to experience. Bribing is something happening all the time. We can't bribe to that, so it will follow. It will follow. So, lende milu, milu, it has a meaning of, cannot be deceived. Deceived in the sense, causes are created, then very skillfully, very, not to experience those, so it cannot do that. That's the nature of law, which I mentioned. Lende milu, kowe dungenam. Same time, reflecting on the other, as I briefly mentioned, the 12 links of dependent origination, thinking about that while experiencing, the result of some of the previous, causes, same time, samsaric causes, and experiencing samsaric results, same time, creating new causes, not just one, not just 2, not just 3, many. Creating causes to experience samsaric things again in the future, coming days, decades, or many lifetimes. So reflecting on that, so then when you reflect on this again and again and again, yang, again and again, samne, reflect on that, or contemplate on that, yang samne, chime nang shendo, that will diminish, that will get rid of the grasping on some kind of some kind of what you call higher samsaric rebirth, because it is still in samsara. Chime nangshin, chima next life. As I mentioned the other day when we were talking about making offerings. No, I'm not talking about the Western culture. In Eastern culture, making offerings, is many of us motivated by, I will be rich in my next life. That is grasping. That is grasping. Grasping to thinking, okay, I will not grasp this life, but for next life, have a better next life. So when we reflect on entire nature of samsara, the travelings of dependent origination, and the law of cause and effect, again and again and again, as travelings of dependent origination, those travelings are divided into three groups. And anyway, I'll not go there. Then I will walk down here. Anyway, so that is the conclusion. Then he talked about importance of having ethics, ethical life, living ethical way of life, and in that context, he talked about practical practice like taking the 5 lay vows or 8, the 24 hours vows, and those are some of the practices, practical things that we can. Then that is important. Ethical life. When we talk about ethics, when we talk about precepts, quite often we think just those people like wearing funny robes, they have to do it. We lay people exempt from that. Buddhist. But that's not the case. The ethic is very important. So those are the things which, and then he moved on, those thinking 3 tools, remembering 3 tools, making offerings, compassing the duties, then also what you call cultivating deep sense of determination, not going to repeat wrong actions again, and also, dedicating virtues to the wider living beings, well-beings. So that is really more or less. Then next verse 11 and 12 is more like a conclusion, as I just mentioned. Those important points he concluded in here. Now, then today is the last verse, which is more like a dedication. But there's one nice suggestion, which I thought is quite good in here, in this dedication. So first read in English, then today I will say a little bit on Tibetan, reading the Tibetan. I don't get it very much reading in English. By the virtue of this advice, may living beings turn from the pastel of this life. Yeah. Anyway, whose happiness is never enough, whose suffering never runs out, to live instead by the great joy of Dharma. So this middle of those 3 lines, those in English, the 4 or 5 lines. So 3 lines between the first and last. These lines need to understood quite, So in Tibetan, Tedara Dambe Sonam Kang Tok Di. So, given this advice and whatever virtues is there. And these next 2 lines are really important for me. Jigang mi chang, dogyang mi pong. And that is, second line is important. Jigang mi chang. That means even if I have a successful life, even if I have a very colorful sort of, I have all those very, joyful life, you know, I will not long more, want more, more, more. Whatever life I have, I will accept. Dogyang mi pong. That means, or on the other hand, if life is very miserable, if life is everything is going wrong, lots of disasters are taking place, I will not complain what's happening in there. In other words, to have deep sense of contentment, the life what is in front of me. If there's joy, lots of joy is happening, I will not become very hype or very sort of, taken away, or, by those joyful or successful. And, but I will just stay. I said, this is still samsaric life. And if life is going, everything is going wrong, it happens occasionally. Year after year, many disasters taking place sometimes in our life. Or sometimes, for year after year, lots of successful, lots of joyful. That is nature of life. So which way it's here in front of me, or which way my life goes, I will not sort of, mourn all the time when things are wrong, going wrong. I will not be too high when everything's are going okay. And that is very important, in other words, to say, to understand the nature of life as it is. Jigyang mi chang, dogyang mi pongwe. Tsedi polong dube, lo long ne. So this, the third line in Tibetan. Here it's, I think this being turned from the pastel of this life. I look at that in dictionary. What does that mean? But here in Tibetan, in the meaning, I remember this very clearly. For quite some time ago, quite a long time ago, my teacher have given it teachings, and not exactly in this stage, but in the other. But the meaning is same. Those small mounds, and just before winter comes, they're gathered. All sorts of things for their eating for the winter, and collected lots of things. And that's what here it's talking about. Not to spend this life, just to gather something, not that what's called wealth or the meaning, And that's which I keep saying, giving my own example, and now these great cupboards are full of things already, and I'm showing to you. And I have this while I was in Jamia. Some of you know, been to Jamia. The long corridor is, full of things, and then after moving to Mount Platt in the South London again, fortunately that flat hasn't got that much storage room, and I feel I'm very lucky. Don't have that much storage room. Still, I have a big wood, which my previous, the lady who sold me in her flat, and she got a big wardrobe, and she was, selling me in a with a very cheap, very little money with this big wardrobe I have and a double bed that I have, and okay, very little money. So that's unfortunate one big wardrobe, and I put in and I struggle before coming here, which I'm going to take to charity. Obviously, my robes nobody will want it. My robes. Going to send to Nalanda. Do they really want? So anyway, that's what here. No, not to collect. I will not that. I will, refrain my mind, restrain from collecting those meaningless, wordless things. And that is really here. So that's what I already mentioned, to live instead by the great joy of Dharma. So that is a really nice text to read, and thank you for participating in that. Now then, I'm going to read that's the second part that we have been reading last few times. That is the Tara. Tara, and as you know, Tara, liberator, the Dharma in Tibetan, liberates from many different fears, many different challenges. Anyway, when we recite praises to 21 Taras, there are many lists, to be protected from different fears. And our reading is 8, protect us or liberate us from those 8 fears. A fear of negative pride, fear of the ignorance, fear of the hatred, fear of jealousy, fear of wrong view, and fear of miserliness, or what you call craving or clinging. Miserliness is too narrow. When we use miserliness, we only think about just material things. Or this one is more than that. It's much wider. It is talking about that keep us in this samsara. It is like the glue, glue to keep us in samsara. If people who know the 12 links of dependent origination, that ninth one. So that is, and they all are very nicely illustrated, in different things. And so today our reading will be number 7. That is attachment. And here attachment is illustrated as a, current, very strong current, river, strong flow of river, cho. In Tibetan, the different size of the flowing river. Cho is mainly refers to those big rivers have lots of bubbles, lots of the currents, and that is cho. So the may I be protected, liberated from the the attachment, like that kind of big current, or this heavy flowing river, and that's what here. And so now the entire whole verse. Shindo galka sibe gun ker, gun chok ker. Shindo galka, very difficult to cut through from from one end to another end, or from one shore to other shore. Shinto, Galgawa, difficult to cross to the other shore, Shinto, Galgawa. Sibe gun chok ker, Siba, and here Siba referring to the samsara. Very, very difficult to cross from the samsaric side or shore to the liberation shore. And that current, really a current of samsara, really constantly takes way towards it. Sort of pushed towards samsara, that current of samsaric things. Shindo kepa sewe chikche. Lelung takwe tiendang nyawale. So it is the carried away by the strong winds or strong sort of storm of Lelung. So affliction and actions. The afflictions are the motivators: attachment, aversion, ignorance, jealousy, envy. Those are the afflictions, wrong view. And motivated by these, then actions, karma. And these two are the affliction and karma are the sort of force that push us continually towards samsara. Then, because while we are carried away by this, by the karma and delusion in this current of samsara, and during that we experience Gyakanachi Pablung Rautube, birth in samsara, sickness, aging, and death, sometimes called four currents. While this very powerful, very strong river is moving, and constantly there are these bubbles or the churnings, and that is those birth, aging, sickness, and death. So that is Balung Raptope, and then this is due to the attachment, So that is here the very, very powerful illustration. The analogy is the very strong currents or strong moving of river. It is like samsara. When we try to cross that very strong river, it is very, very challenging. Always take towards the way we don't want to go. And that's what here, that's the 7. And the number 8, number 8 is Tezom Shaseji, Tezom. And this is talking about what you call the doubt, or doubt. Literal translation is doubt. So Tezom Shasa, this very nicely illustrated. May I protect it, from the doubt, which is like the ghost. When you have ghost, then you can't tell which direction it is coming, what kind of shape and what kind of color, what's going to do. There's this huge quantity of unknown, but at the same time there is a tremendous sense of the sort of fear or difficulties, and that's what here illustrated. What's talking about here is in doubt, in the Buddhist Buddhist what's called the psychology texts, like Abhidharma texts, there are two kinds of doubts. Doubts which is positive and doubts which is negative. Negative, positive in the sense which direction the doubt is moving towards. For example, from the Buddhist point of view, from a Buddhist practitioner, it is very, the Lama tesomda, tarbadola kejaba techen sumdedo. Now one line is not coming. So, there are three mental states which are counted as main obstacles to experience liberation in the Abhidharma text. The first one is, there's no yearning, there's no longing to experience liberation. There's nothing there. There's no, in Tibetan we call, there's no tsamba. Tsamba, as you know. So there's nothing. You don't have any interest to liberation. That's the first obstacle. But even if you have a yearning, longing, but then you have a doubt. Doubt that, not to be cleared, not to be answered, constantly staying in doubt, constantly staying, yeah, no, which is I do very often. Many of my sort of things, I'm not sure, like, you have a toothache. So, very, very, not helpful. Or the third one is, you got the wrong methods. You got the wrong method. Your methodology is completely wrong. You would like to go. You don't have doubt, but path is wrong. So those three, it says, Tarbadola Gekcheba Techen Sumdendo. These three are mentioned in the early stage because these three are very, very unhelpful if you want to experience liberation. So this here, the eighth fear that we would like to seek Tara's protection. Kundo mongbe kala rabjushin, nyeba tundu nyela hakbar tse, tarbe sokla, golwe dubajin. So it is very, very dramatically explained the doubt. Kundo mongbe kala rabjushin. In other words, you are just in English, there's this expression, zombie style, zombie fashion. Just, don't have any aim, don't have any sort of direction. That, and to get the determination, to get the point, which is the most, which is most harmful to get the, what we like to have it. Like earlier we talked about taking essence of the precious human rebirth. To really to take the essence from the precious human rebirth, if you have constantly doubt, stay in a doubt, that is the very, very harmful, very harmful to get the, the direction. Nyeba tundu nyeba hakparchi. Nyeba means definite. Tundu nyeba, that your aim to strive, to work for your aim. Very Tarbe Sowa Golwe Dubachin, and particularly, the people who seek liberation, Tarba. So means the life, which is very, as I mentioned, very dramatically, explained. Tarbe Sowa Golwe Dubachin. It is extremely harmful for the life of the liberation. In other words, that will cut off the life of liberation. If you stay in Tao, may I be protected from the doubt, like the ghost. So that is really the eighth affliction or delusion. So these eight, which is very nicely presented in here, by the first Dalai Lama, Gendun Drop. So I will read the end of this is more or less end the text. Okay. Kyala Dujin, Soa Tapitu, Tamju Dube, Gegen Shiwatam, Tsedang Sonon, Beldan Jorvason, Tumbe Genam Yishin Dubatsu. That's the next verse. Kyala, that meaning of that verse is, after praising to the Tara and praying to the Tara, and may I have all the conducive conditions to do the Dharma, and all the obstacles to practice Dharma be pacified, and that is the essence of this next verse. Shinjo dewa jende dowa gun demba waba mebe jesone kawa jata joba mebaya nyutu sanje sala rekjujin. And the people who are striving to the pure land of the Amitabha, may these people are protected, may these people are taken care by you, and without lots of difficulties and long time, may they be touched the ground of the enlightenment. Nyodu Sanjesa Rekujin. Daja Tatu, set of Tembatam, Chamju Sembra Namyan Mendeshin, Geshe Juba Labjin Tsoala, Zundu Chu Yushin Tembarsho. And this is what talking about himself, the first Dalai Lama himself saying, may I also be have a long life, and all the time to recall my all my lives, and to practice bodhicitta, never be parted from the bodhicitta, and the deeds of the bodhisattvas, which are great sort of deeds. May my effort, joyous effort be like those, be continuing to practice bodhicitta, and those bodhisattva deeds like those water streams, which they continue day by day, week by week, year after year. And then the next verse, Rangdun Drubla Namyan Mereshin, Shendun Bashi Drubla Sholwatam, Chendang Masha Make Sobaso, Shendun Chebe Genum Tsangwasho. I will never sort of strive to work for just my own well-being, but all the time may I spend my time all the time working for well-beings of others, and to work for others' well-being. May I have all the conducive facilities or conditions. May I have all those facilities to work for others. Ramjang Shindu Gyare, Tamjugu, gyabara chala namen mishumshin kaadu simjun kundu rubechi gyawe kobantala tobasho. Ramjamshin gyawe tamjo gyabara. So, I will never I will never sort of not discount, discourage to work to work for the Dharma which taught by those great the beings, those great teachers, and also Taoism all the time to work for the well-beings of living beings. To do that, may I experience liberator or the enlightenment very soon. So that is the end of this. Although we didn't start from the beginning. We start from the middle of this text. But that is okay. So thank you for participating, listening, my blah blah. And it seems still we have a little bit time free from, not today, free from this COVID-19 whatever, so it's keeping us indoor. So it seems also there are people listening or watching my blah blah. So I thought we will not tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we will continue to read another nice text from the same text. This collection from this book, again by Tsongkhapa. It says, "A harvest of powerful attainment, prayer for blessings of the close lineage." So that's on page 109, and I thought we'll read that. Similar fashion, but this time we will not read two, just read that part. And not many pages, just I think almost same, even shorter, same sort of, page 109 to 115, 14. So same sort of, size, and very beautiful prayer again. So that's what we'll do. And okay, that's today's, and we'll do the prayers 21 times. Oda lai ne jo ne tami chango le zhongji. Baba me ye hu la jen tu sum sanye kelem. Doma koje shi so so hata ngami chebe ye shaki pemu na tu. Pongba gun le zhonze ma doma yung la changze. Om je zu ma pa ma doma la changze. Changze doma nyu ma pa ma. Jene keje chigen sungo chigi che. Kesar je wala ne joma changze tongge tawa. Kawa jene zile shen. Kama tongda soba nama je rabu che. Changze sengwe chune je. Pene chane. Jemba zunde kado che wa soba. Changze dejen chebe zo zo taye nambara jawa. Malu baru jimba tobe jawe seki shin. Changze tuda rahung yi ke toba. Jingden dumbu shabji ne de lupa me ba go. Changze jaje me la tsang ba. Chombo rana jisa namanda nijin soke. Changze jeje chadang pe di paru choko da. Igon yin shabji ne de me ba choko. Changze turi jiga chenpo digi bao na. Chugi shene chunye den de dao tamje. Changze kunjo sumzen chade sene to. Malu jogi kolo jenbe rangi vedi samte. Changze rabdo kawa jebe vedi vedi changze. Shewa raje tudana yin buda jigen. Changze saji kyongwe to panje guban. Chunyi yewa yike honge pungwa panje. Changze tawe gombo o jenba Rebe chune oba me le tabore shindo. Changze kebe tama me tara barwe tingwe. Gejang yung kune koro ge jaye pame. Changze sashi ngola cha ge peki. Chunye jenze ike hong ge rinpa jombo. Changze tema gema shi ma nyange deshin. So om da yang da tenbe dikwa chambo chambo. Changze kune koro kawe jaye yin. Ige juve ngani kwe de rikpa hunye de. Changze turi shami da de hongye. Rera menda ra dang de je jigen sumna yo. Changze haye tsoye na de dita pa de chen. Tara niju pegi ye de duna ma le dang se. Changze haye tsonim de po hada miyam che de. Gwene kocha kawa je de zeda melo nyingba se. Changze nima dawa ge be, jinye bola ere se. Hara nije duda ra shindo tabu ne se. Changze jinyin sumnam be, shiwe duda yamba be. Duda rongwa nije tso nama jomba dure ra cho. Zare ma je duba de da, changze wani niju tsa. Changju senjo rinpo che, ma je pa nama je se. Je ba nyamba me ba, kone kongdu pe wa sho. Kangri rawe korwe shinpo. Pendang dewa ma lu chungwe. Jenre sema, tenzin jago. Shabe side pando, tenju che. Oh yeah, thank you, thank you. And have a nice day. And today here in Sarah, I mean, these days it doesn't make that much difference. But otherwise, today is day off. Tuesday is day off. So the young boys, monks, are there playing, they're outside each, what we call kamsen, that is the house. Majority, they have a small courtyard. And behind the building where I'm living, there are two, one Serachia comes in, one Saramea comes in a little bit further. And those young boys play, not real football, they put lots of materials put together and make jump like this. Hasn't got that much jumping because there are buildings and glass, windows cannot be. So they are playing morning around 7:30, and it will continue. It will continue until sort of 8:30, regardless of the heat, hot, sunny. They don't care. And the Selmed house comes in a little bit further down, which I can see not from this window, but a little other room from my window. I can see if I look down. At the one end of the courtyard, they have a water tank. And every now and then, they just open the tap and they just put their hand on the tap, then push a little bit, then go and play the. So that is very joyful, young boys. Anyway, yeah, take care, and see you next time. Thank you.